Hi, I'm Jeff Goulding and I'm a Liverpool author.
And I'm Kieran Smith, the Liverpool historian.
Together, we've been working on a great new project, which is a book out later this year entitled The Untouchables, Anfield's Band of Brothers.
It's a great story about one of the greatest sides in Liverpool's history who won back-to-back titles in the 1920s.
Yeah, this is a team that is absolutely packed with incredible characters. Men who fought on the battlefields of Europe in the First World War and returned home to claim 2 league titles in a row.
And it's due for release in the UK in September. And thanks to our friendship now with the Liverpool Connection podcast, it's also going to be made available through them in the United States at the same time.
Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast. This brand new episode. We've been out for a while, haven't we, Steve? A couple of weeks, just this and that going on. But our special guest today, and he's quite young actually, 26, and he's a Liverpool historian, which is very young for a historian, because we have Kieran Smith, who's another historian, and I think he's in his mid 30s, late 30s.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's also a writer, and he's also a brand new author of a debut book, and I can't wait to get into that in a little while. It is called Liddell at 100, whichever way you want to pronounce it. He's still one of the most iconic footballers that played for Liverpool. And it's called A Family Portrait of a Liverpool Icon. And we welcome Mr. Peter Kenny-Jones.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
Morning, Peter.
Hello.
Hopefully, by the end of the show, you won't be, sweaty and in that Liverpool heat.
Yeah, no, it's not just nerves today. Yeah, it's the heat, the joke, sweating in this garage of mine with no windows, no air. But I've got my fan on behind me, so it's cooling me down. It's just dropped from 31 to 30. So yeah, it's cool, man.
Oh man, you're all right then.
It doesn't moan anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be nervous with me and Steve. I think we're the most nervous hosts.
Well, it's my first one though. I've been on the radio and done little bits, but I've never been me. So I don't know if I'm that interesting, but I'm sure you'll find out how long it takes.
Everyone we bring on is interesting because they always have, their Liverpool story, and that's how we want to start. Really, is give us your history as a Liverpool fan. Like when did it start? Do you have the family that's half of the blue side, half of the red side, like most of us do?
Yeah, well, my dad's obviously a massive red. That's why I am christened, and I got christened in a normal christening gown. Then he put a Liverpool kit on me for the after party and chalked Dalgley 7 on me back. So that was I didn't really have much choice. Obviously, my middle name's Kenny because it was K Dalgley, so it's been there ever since. So my first match, 2001. My mate from primary school, he's the great grandson of Phil Taylor, the manager before Shankly, and basically he was mascot and we were mates at school. So I think my dad managed to get tickets for the game. It was just coincided the fact he was mascot. So it was just like, obviously I was only young, I was 5, 6, and I just thought everyone's mate was on the pitch and field before the game. I thought it was just normal. But yeah, so then going to games since then, I've never had a season ticket, but I haven't missed a game since when Dirk Kuyt scored the hat-trick against United. It was 2010, 2011. That's the last home game I missed, obviously, other than COVID. And that was just because I couldn't get a ticket. It was just because I was in a membership and stuff. And I used to go with my dad like every other week. And my mum would drop us off. And me and my dad would run down, stand outside like by the Shankly statue and just shout for any spares. Just hope that I could get in. And if I couldn't, I'd have to leg it back to the car and then we go and watch it at home. So that's how it started, really. And then I think I'm the only Liverpool fan who's thankful for Roy Hodgson, because people stopped going to matches much, so I started getting my credits up and getting my tickets. So I remember like Bolton at home New Year's Day, and we were terrible, and I was just delighted because I could start going the game, and that's where it was from them really. And then got around Europe, went to Kiev and Madrid. Obviously, they were the two highlights. Lucky enough to get a ticket to both. Now we went to Basel for the Europa League final with that one with the bus, and drove all the way from Liverpool to Basel, and that was boss. Just went with my family and my mate. So yeah, I think I am a proper fan if I'm allowed to say it. So go to as many games as I can. And yet, red and blue with me. My dad's dad died. He was like 3 months old, but he was a red. But because he died so young, all his brothers and sisters kind of split. So his family is a bit split in half. So got a few blue cousins and that, and my girlfriend's are blue as well, who I live with. So it's good and bad. I don't mind it too much because then if she was a red as well, she'd be coming to match with me. So it's nice to have two separate things. I'm not saying I'm always happy if she wanted to come. I got a ticket to the derby once, and it was the one when we won 4-0. So I was happy with that one. But so I'm happy to have the two sides. Is all right. I don't think there's never been too many arguments.
I bet that was a good day when you came home.
Yeah, well, she was in the
home tour.
Yeah, well, she was in the main stand with my mum and my mate, and me and my dad were in the cop. And I was trying to be reserved, but as soon as they came out, I just started the chant. Everyone joined in, and she hated me. And I gave her 4 kisses on the head. Well, that was it. I don't think I'm too bad. We get along all right until the footy starts, and then we're in separate rooms. Other than that, we're all good.
Well, as you were talking, about standing around Shankly's statue, yesterday I just read, about the membership and everything, about the tickets. And one of our friends, Dan Nicholson, was like, now it's going to be really, really hard to get tickets now because of what Liverpool are doing with the whole ticket thing. What's your take on that? Great.
Personally, I hate the fact that, if you're rich enough, you can buy a ticket. When I went to me and my girlfriend and my mum and dad and mum and dad, we just had like a drink at the Hard Days Night Hotel. Or like the table over from us, just this bloke had a bag full of tickets, and there was a queue outside, people coming in one by one. And, I don't know where they were all from, but the vast majority were scouts, which I don't have a problem with. But obviously, people coming in and he's managing to get tickets for them. He's got a bag of tickets, sell them out. And I'm lucky enough I get to go, but I have to get up there 7:30 in the morning, do a horrible ticket sale and reload and stress and sweat and taking mornings off work and stuff to get it done. And I just think it's a joke. There's like people in my work, all this, when you have to give your passport in and all that to try and end this ticket and tout thing, and there's still ways around it. And they've got a mate in the ticket office who does them a favour and all that. So I just don't like it. I don't understand why you can't just have photo ID, like when you go to a club and they scan it, and if it's your face, you've bought the ticket, you go in. If you haven't, you just sell it on. Fans should go to the game. I don't mind where the fans from. They can be anywhere, but if they pay for the ticket and they've got enough credits or whatever to be able to get a ticket, then they should go. But it shouldn't just be to the highest bidder.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm glad I'm on a family and friends plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mind. You've got mates who want to go, don't you? So you've got mates who want to go with you, and that's fine. It works. And what they're doing now, where you can have like 10 family and friends. If you can't go, you can give it to one of them. Yeah. That's fine. But it's just when you're giving it to any random bloke off Twitter and just trying to make money off it, it's just horrible, isn't it? I hate it. So
yeah, that's not right. I'm sure there's at least one of your family and friends that wants to go.
Yeah.
So, what is one of your favourite matches? I mean, obviously the big Barca match.
Yeah.
Did you go to that?
I did. Yeah, I was in the cup for that, and that was unbelievable. But I think before that, because I think that is, so I'll say that in a sec, but I think 2 I had before that was the West Ham final, Gerrard's goal. So again, that was 2006, so I was still in primary school, like my last year of primary school, and I was sat there next to my dad, and because I was young probably and still hopeful, I was saying that we're still going to win it, Dad, we're still going to win. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry I've took you, you're going to hate Liverpool forever and all that. And I was like, no, we're going to do it. And then obviously Gerrard scored that, and he just jumped on me. I don't think he's ever kissed me that much. So that was always, just remember that one. And obviously that didn't win it. There was a lot more that went on. And Rio Ferdinand was behind us, and I think he was in the Match of the Day studio. And when West Ham was scoring, he was banging on the windows and like having it off with everyone. And then of course his brother missed the main pen. So that was great. He got abuse hailed at him then. So that was a good one to go to. And then another one which I don't think people want to talk about, but it's the City one when we nearly won the league when Coutinho scored. Because I was so like I never joined in the chance we're gonna win the league. I never said anything. I never even said it in my head. I didn't say it to anyone. I was too scared. It was my first year at uni, so it was just like a magic all around. It was just it all like it was going to be perfect. I remember I was in the car with them walking down the stairs. So my dad doesn't sit with me. I always like meet him up after. And I was walking down. I was like stood to the side and I like literally started crying the first time I ever had it. It wasn't like tearing loads, but I was like welling up and. It was just like, and then some bloke grabbed me and said, "We haven't won it yet. Come on." I was like, "Oh no!" But it's the one time I thought we're actually going to do it, and obviously we didn't. So that's what made me never want to believe again because it's the hope to kill you. But then, as you say, obviously Barca, unbelievable. It was again. I had hope on that one. That wasn't too long ago. I had Divock Origi hat trick in my head all day, and no one will believe me when you say it after. But I genuinely was saying it where obviously he didn't get it, but I just believed it so much, and then. I wish the Origi and Wijnaldum goal were the other way around because Origi's was so good, but it was one of them where you're like, what's just happened? So we scored. Oh, we scored. Well, there's a bit of a delayed reaction, but Wijnaldum's goal, the header, will always be the best moment. I don't think I could ever beat that. I remember I was stood on my chair and I literally just dived. I think I jumped like 4 rows down. I don't know what I was doing. And I kind of knew the two blokes next to me from footy just by chance in the Auto Cup, and they were looking at me like, how we got down there? And I was getting like pulled up off the seats, and I just couldn't believe it. It was just on like the best game you could ever go to. That one, and I don't think you could top that. Obviously, the Dortmund one, I was there for that. That was a boss one as well. But like Barca, I don't think you'll ever beat it.
Yeah, I think we, they always say like the quarter George Sefton, and that's his favourite game. Always says like if Anfield had a roof on, it would have been blown off.
Yeah, but I know he gets a lot of stick, that Dan and Fletcher, but I think his commentary on it's boss as well when you watch it back. And it is one for like the City game the season before and all that. I do like all this commentary and just watching it back every time. It's goosebumps in it. And then saying George Sefton, he put Imagine on afterwards as well. I remember I wanted to stay as long as I could. The cop was basically empty. I was just like, oh, this is just so good. I remember walking down, like I was in like 304, my dad's 104, so I was just walking down rather than going inside just to like try and remember as much as I could. And I was singing it. It was just like, you just think back at it, you think was that real? It was just so good, but I actually believe we were going to do it. It was one of them. It's just like what I thought was going to happen.
I was kind of the same. I was like, if we can get an early goal, and then maybe another one, I think we can do it. But I also think that's down to like Genie being on the bench and being a bit pissed off because when he scored that first one, you saw the anger in his face. And it was and that's what you want from subs, chomping at the bit, and I want to get on and do something. That to me is probably the greatest game I've ever watched, and I'll always tell this little story. That was the day I was going back home, and I was at the pub, and I was looking at the time and going, oh man, I've got to be at the airport in like 45 minutes. But I kept staying, and then it was just mad. And we made it by about 5 minutes, and then the British Airways goes, we're gonna be behind for a couple of hours. I was like, oh man, I could have stayed down the pub.
I kind of enjoyed it, yeah. That team as well, we had one. No Salah, no Firmino. Just a joke how he even did it, and then obviously they never walk alone at the end and all that. Just wow.
How do you feel about I'll always ask this too with fans. They get so caught up in this transfer saga, like their heads explode. Like every rumour, they've got to go, oh my God, we're linked with him. Why aren't we buying him? He played 2 good games at the Euro. Why aren't we buying him? I trust in Klopp. I trust in Edwards. They'll do the job. If they think a player will come in, it'll be under the radar.
Yeah, no, I agree. I hate all the transfer rumours. I've got a mate who was like one of them. It was just like, oh, see, we've been linked with him, and see, we're linked with that. Unless it's like BBC Sport breaking news, and I don't trust or believe anything. And as you say, just they know what they're doing. I don't. I don't sit and watch all the footy around the world and scout everyone. I've never heard of, that Kamata who just signed. I've never heard of him properly, but everyone that apparently knows him, he's amazing. And as soon as we sign him, everyone knows everything. I hate as well, even on Twitter, like, I like football and Liverpool's first and foremost by a mile. But like, my mates from uni, we all used to go watch Tranmere together because we all basically supported different teams. So I've always got them on Twitter, and when they sign someone, I just like reading underneath like what the fans are thinking. With ours, it's just no matter what they do, no matter what gets put up, it's just sign this person. Do that. You never actually get to see a fan reaction to anything, do you? It's just too many people with the weird Firmino picture, or there's not even a person. And all they do is moan, and then you see a United fan laughing at someone. It's just like, what's going on? I just want to see what people actually think about this picture or this story or whatever, isn't it?
Well, I remember the last time United fans laughed at us is when we got Van Dijk for 75 million, and that worked out all right.
Yeah, I find they can laugh. Yeah,
I try and stay away from all the rumours. I mean, it's just daft. Like if you sitting there every morning, like going, waiting for a signing, you'll be waiting forever. It'll come when it comes. But if we don't sign anyone, are you happy with the squad? I think with the front today, and you always just think we're one injury away from a crisis, aren't we? That's what it seems like. As much as I love Origi and I'm happy for him to stay and live up his legacy, that's what he wants to do. I'm happy for him to get paid £100 a week just so I can relive Barca and Tottenham again, whatever he wants to do. But we do need someone else in there. And like Shaqiri seems to be fit for a week and out for 3 months. Never know what's going on with him. Jota obviously had his ankle injury, so I think he's boss, but I don't know if we can trust him. I think Harvey Elliott's good, and I wouldn't mind him being in the squad and playing. But probably forward's the only thing we need. Everyone's saying to replace Wijnaldum, but I think the one thing we've got is midfielders. We can play everyone there, so we've got about 10 centre backs fit now after having one. Yeah.
So I think we're all right. But I'd probably get a striker. But if we don't, I'm not going to beat Klopp out at Anfield field or anything like that. So just see what.
FSG, Klopp out, the whole shebang, get out. You're rubbish.
Yeah, that's it.
A bit tired of that. But enough of my questions. I'm going to bring Steve in because Steve is more of the he wants to get to know how you started writing.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm going to ask because we love having authors on here because one, it teaches us new things about Liverpool that their history, but secondly, it helps us expand our Liverpool library. So we always enjoy having new books to talk about, and so we appreciate you coming on. And so let's just start at the beginning about your decision to write a football book and how you picked this particular subject. Because it'd be easy to just write something about the past 4 or 5 years, and since there's so many books about that, it's topical and everybody is reliving it. But then to go back into his that far back and write about somebody that you really have to research about. How is that process, and how do you make those decisions?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think it's easier to do further back because, first of all, most of the people are dead, so you're going to get less people picking it up if you mess any of it up. So that always helps. But I just think, if I wrote about last season, I said we had 82% possession against whoever at home, and it was 81.5. People are on your back on it. But I also just from my football writing, I've done more like articles and stuff. It's obviously the first book, but I just think I realised that the thing I like doing the most is just picking a player and just looking at their whole career and just what they did and why they're important or why they're remembered. Because I think it'd be impossible to find a footballer of any level who hasn't got some sort of interesting story. Even though they've only played one game ever, why was it only one game? Or if the Billy Liddell, he played for years and literally, made the legacy, got the team named after them. I think they're all interesting stories to do. And obviously, I think the main reason I got to do this one was obviously football. I did history at uni and I did my dissertations on Liverpool and Everton. Did it in the interwar period and then did Liverpool and Everton in the 1960s. But so I always wanted to do something Merseyside related, but it's my sister, my dad's sister, my auntie. She does Scottish dancing with Billy Liddell's sister, so that was kind of my way in. So I did have a few ideas of doing, as I said, my mate from school, great-grandson of Bill Taylor, and this one. So I just pitched a few ideas, and that's really why I wanted to do it, because I think there's not many Liverpool fans, I hope, who haven't heard of Billy Liddell. But I think there's a lot of Liverpool fans who won't know anything past his name and maybe Liverpool. Some people don't even know what his position was and how long he played. They just know he must have been good, but I don't know why. So I just think for myself, being 26 and I like to think I like football history and stuff, but even me, I thought he's one of the legends of the club, but I don't know enough about him. So I just thought, rather than saying I'm an expert on it, I wanted to get to know him by speaking to people and speaking to family, friends and all that, and then just trying to tell his story by the people who knew him best. That's what I want to try and do, really. That's what hopefully I've done.
When you were doing your research, obviously, I'll admit, I don't know that much about him, and so I look forward to reading your book and getting the history. But tell us some things that you found out about the club doing the research about him that maybe not a lot of people would know.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing, maybe not Liverpool specific, but more the era, is wartime football. I just think myself, I've always just disregarded it. It was the war, it wasn't football. But he played hundreds of games in that period, scored loads of goals, played for Liverpool in front of 40,000 people who're doing it week in, week out. And he played for Chelsea, played around Scotland, Canada, and all that. So I just think, you think about all those players, obviously, the reason why it's not maybe as respected because they had so many guests playing, so they basically just had trialist day, and obviously that's when Bill Shankly played and loads of players played for the different teams. Obviously, they did at Chelsea. So that's why people disregarded a bit, but every single player and every single fan was literally risking their life to go and watch the football match, and there's tens of thousands of people all across the country every single week watching it. And then the way that they remembered is, we'll just scrap all that, doesn't matter. So I just think it's mad. Obviously, I was the same. I just thought, it's wartime football, doesn't count. But when you look at it, just there's more at stake there than there was the season after. Obviously, Liverpool went on to win the league, but there's more at stake then. But no one cares about it. No one. How many wartime leagues did you ever win? You couldn't name anyone. It's just mad how it's just wiped from history. So I just thought that was mad. And then obviously Liverpool as a club, you just see, I think everyone thinks that it starts with Shankly, and before then it was nothing. And right before then it was nothing. It was League Two languishing, so it's second division, languishing, not doing anything. But I know obviously you would have had Kieran Griffin, Jeff Golden talking about the 20s teams, the Untouchables, back to back, and there was history before Liverpool, and Billy Liddell played in some great teams. The 46-47 season when they won the league, the 1950 FA Cup final. With 8 games to go, they were top of the league and going into the FA Cup final. But apparently Liverpool didn't start till 1959, so we'll just forget about all that. So I think it's just important to remember these things did happen. Just because it's ages ago doesn't mean it didn't happen. And that's just what I've tried to do from it, really.
I thought it didn't start until 2005 for a lot of people. So.
Yeah, 2019, 2020. Yeah, just pick a year now.
That's right. Hey, it has to start somewhere for everyone. So we don't blast people for how long they've been a fan. So as long as they're a fan now, it's great.
No, exactly. I don't mind. You can join anytime you want, but just you got to learn about the past before you come in. I think that's fair enough. Oh yeah. You should get a book on entry.
There you go. Yeah, I mean that's why we like doing this podcast, because I think through our podcast, we've had 100 episodes already, and we brought so many books to the forefront of a lot of people that had not heard of them. And so like your book coming up, the Untouchables, when Jeff Golding's books, they're bringing the history and kind of filling in the gaps of everybody, and it's exciting. So yeah, we're definitely excited to read about about Billy Liddell. Now, were you able to speak to family members, you said?
Yeah. So obviously I never, it might sound bad, I never had a clear plan of what I was going to do beforehand. I just knew I was going to speak to his sister. I had the chapters lined up, and then I was just going to go from there. So I've got like 14, 15 chapters, look at it. And I just have 15 phone calls with her. So it was like an hour, half an hour, 20 minutes, depends how much she knew about the time. Because obviously she's a lot younger than he is. That's why, obviously, because he would have been 100 if it in in January, which is why the book's coming out. So she didn't remember a lot of the stuff before he came to Liverpool and all that, so it was just a little chat. But then, obviously, from speaking to her, she goes, "Oh, you should speak to this person." You know, it's her cousin, Tom Ogilvie, who was Scottish, as they call him. It was great speaking to him, and obviously he's a big cows and beef fan and was on the board and everything, and that shows how football mad the family was. And then she goes, "Oh, you should speak to my sister-in-law, you should speak to the twins." They went from there, and I just thought, I'll just keep trying this because I quite like speaking to people as good as anything. So I then wrote to the club and I just said, "I'm writing a book about Billy Liddell. Do you know if any players can help me?" And then they just said, "We'll send it out to see what goes on." And Alan Banks was the only one who got back to me. He only paid like 7, 8, 9 games for Liverpool. He scored like 4 or 5 goals. He had a great return for how many he played. But he was just really nice. He went on to be an extra legend, but he's like a proper scouser and absolutely loved Liddell because he grew up watching him and then played with him. So I just thought, how hard it's going to be to keep speaking to people. So then I saw Jeff Golden and for George Scott's book, he had Ian Callaghan as the forward. So I just thought, he seems like the one to get because he was the man after Liddell is often what he's billed as. So started trying to get him through George Scott. George Scott couldn't really get me in touch with him, but he got me Gordon Wallace. So then I just started growing out from there, really. And then I started thinking, I need a big name for the forward. I need something to like pull people in because at the end of the day, who am I? It's my first book. I need a bit of help behind it. So I thought that he was a good one to speak to. And then I'm from Crosby, so around the corner from Mum and Dad's house, Jamie Carragher's house. It's a lot bigger than mine before he could get it. But we knew where he lived. So I said to my dad, I was like, "Oh, do you mind dropping me around? I'll post a letter." And we used to go at Christmas because my dad, obviously, Kenny, again, is here, you know. So we used to go at Christmas and just look at all the lights at his house, Alan Hansen, and any other footballers in Southport and stuff. So he said, "Oh, I remember where they lived." So basically spent one night, I just knocked on doors and tried to get to speak to people. I got into Carragher's house, his missus took the letter off me. Hanson's house, again, his missus opened the door. I think they all just send the missus out. He just get the letter off me. And then I posted one to Kenny and Klopp and just thought I'll see what happened. Kenny and Klopp never got back. Carragher called me the next day and Hanson called me a couple of days after. So it was just mad getting to do that. And then as I was speaking to you before, I got to speak to someone on that LFC history group on Facebook, which I know you're both on, which is, obviously it's boss. It's so much help that. I never thought I'd be someone who'd be like, all about the community and all that, but it literally is like a mad community of like people who just want to speak about football history and Liverpool, which is great for me doing the book and just great in general interest. But I got speaking to a Polish autograph collector who I mentioned to you, and he was just saying, I've got a few addresses if you want to like swap some details. Obviously I couldn't give information out, but I could say like how to find it and stuff, and he gave me a few addresses to write to. So I literally just posted a few more letters out, and then one of them was Johnny Morrissey. And it turned out he lived like 3 doors up from Jamie Carragher. So I'd literally been past his house, so then I went back to the same road and posted in one. Just literally out of nowhere, it just started picking up, and I just, by speaking on that group as well, like speaking to people like Paul Moran, and again, just the community type thing, just everyone coming around to help, and it was just mad. I only ever planned on speaking to Rena. I think I spoke to like 30 odd people, and I just think that's a better tale because, like, you know, you could go on LFC History Group, LFC History website, which is unbelievable again, which needs a big shout out because that's so good. Like any game ever, there's so much information on, but you can go on that and click on a newspaper article and you could write anything you wanted and use that, which is great. But I just think the personal memories, I think, are as, or if not more important to what your legacy is as a man and as a footballer. So that's what I tried to do, just speak to as many people as I could. And thankfully I've spoken to some great ex-players and people who play with them and family members and stuff. Yeah, that was a long answer to that question.
No, that's fine. You know, it's funny because I guarantee that once the book is published and people start reading it, you're going to have people reach out to you and say, well, I could have given you a story. That's the way it always is, right? Then you get to write the second book after that, or updated version.
Liddell at 110.
Hey, but look at this. Look at Dazzy. He hasn't even published his book yet, and he's already dropping names like George Scott and Jeff, and he's already in the author group now. So
I say we're on a WhatsApp group, yeah.
But I guarantee you, Jamie Carragher isn't doing his podcast in his garage. So I mean, you still got a little way to go. So
yeah, that's all right. Yeah, thanks for that.
We try to keep it real.
That's fine, yeah. Sorry, put me down to earth. I have no one. Sorry. I picked those names back up.
You were up here. Now you're back out.
I wasn't trying to show off. I was just trying to say, I tried to speak to people. That's all right.
It's good. Yeah, but it's funny because it is a close knit community, and with a lot of those players still living in the area, and everybody knows each other. We built our guest base, a lot of that from the historical group, and then from the people that I've met in the past, and guys that knows from Liverpool. So the networking definitely helps, getting the word out, and then you already have a built-in audience for when you get published.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, so those years fascinate me right after the war. Like even in the United States history, the baseball players coming back from serving in the military, a lot of big names missed like 4 or 5 years of their peak. Like Mickey Mantle, he was in the service, and he turned out to be such a great player. And you're like, man, what if he hadn't missed 4 years, fighting in the war? So, but England, to me, from my perspective, is a little bit different because, you're getting bombed every day, and then now everybody's going to play football. In the United States, we're kind of, separated from all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, when you were doing the research and talking to people, what was the environment like? Was football just an escapism, or was it like, okay, we're done with this war, let's just get back into getting our league set back up and things like that?
Yeah, well, obviously the war finished in September 45, so the season had already started in August. So it was kind of worked well in that they had the rest of that season. It was still a wartime season, but the FA Cup counted. That was all. So they had the rest of that season to settle down and basically get back into the run of things. And even up to the start of the next year was obviously the following August 46. Liddell was still at RAF training and stuff. We still had to do the debrief and all that end of battle training. I don't know what they were training for, but basically they were still settling down. So I think that 11 months they basically had to get themselves back into running order helped, but it kind of ruins it for me, because what it should say is that it's the hardest season of all, because everything's in ruin. You've got the people who were old before the war started who are still Liverpool players. You've got the people who are established who are now old, and you've got the young players like Liddell and Paisley who are now in the mid-20s and ready to start firing. So it would have been easy for me to say, that's why Liverpool came 10th, but Liverpool won the league. So you've got to try and see why were they so good. But I think the main thing was the trip to America, because obviously, as you said, it was relatively untouched, and they had McConnell, the director, who basically noticed that America was rationless. It was pretty much fine food-wise and everything. They could go there, improve the nutrition, do the work. The football was obviously a lot lower standard because they would be battered basically everyone they played, but they used the fact that they prepared themselves well for the season, and that's what stood them up in good stead, because because they had a bad winter in 46, it dragged the season out into June. So the season went on forever, like the COVID one basically we had last year, and then it meant that they had to be as fitter than they'd ever been. And we think they didn't have a training ground. They used to run up and down the steps at the top, and by December the pitch was a mud bath and they couldn't even go on the grass. They were just running around the local area and stuff, and then they had a little gym underneath the main stand. So you think that's what they had, but that was so far ahead of the rest of the teams, because that's why they did so well. Cause towards the end of that season, Billy Liddell got picked for Great Britain, so he missed the last couple of games. Phil Taylor was injured, Paisley got injured, so they had to use the squad, and they had people who made his debut 4 games to go and scored a big goal. And just there's it was a real squad effort to get them over the line that season. But that goes back to America and the fitness. Obviously, he said the war, it just robbed so much of everyone's career. I was just working out yesterday, I just got it here, so he's 12th, Billy, in all-time appearances and 4th in goals. But if you add the wartime appearances and goals just for Liverpool, bearing in mind he went on to play 6 other different clubs and fought a war in that time. But if you add those on, he's 4th in appearances and 2nd top goal scorer. So no one probably more than him was robbed of a legacy. And where he is now, he'd be even higher if it wasn't for the war. You know, he was early 20s going through to mid 20s, so he couldn't get a lot of goals and appearances then. So yeah, just shows what they had to put up with.
You know, after he finished his playing career, gives a little bit of information on what his life was like after football, after leaving as an active player.
Yeah, well, obviously, he was never fully professional, even when his teammates were, because he did his accountancy. That was massive for him. He only ever trained 2 days a week, so he was an accountant all the way through. So he just carried that job on. They went to work in University of Liverpool and a few other jobs just as the piece and stuff. And he kind of left football there. He left it at the door. He didn't, as though he did want to be on the board. He wanted to help the club, but it never came to fruition. But no, he was never bitter or anything. He'd done his football, and he was just so humble and never really wants to speak about it or anything. Obviously, people would always ask him, but he was more just football was done. He just got on with the rest of his life as a really quiet and private man. I think, so I don't want to go on it too much and ruin stuff, but obviously he got dementia towards the end of his life, and I've tried to really try and bring up every moment of a head injury and anything like that in a game that he's done, because I think it's mad that there's no like, oh yeah, it definitely does cause dementia playing with a leather ball, because we all know it does, but there's no one's come out and said it. It's just mad that you can't make that assertion when you look at stuff like he's playing on after he broke someone's cheekbone with his head and he rubbed blood everywhere, got his head wrapped up. He's had games where he got hit in the face with a ball and was staggering for the next 15 minutes. But, you know, he's a man, he plays on and all that. But it's mad how, obviously, the football changed so much, but they still don't really want to own up to the fact that, you know, they not the people in charge now, but the people in charge then pretty much gave the footballers dementia. They did. I don't want to put it on them, but that's what it was. There was no respect for the fact. You know, surely if you're watching a match when every other week people are coming off injured, there's no subs. They're all wrapped up in head bandages and all that. And you know, obviously the pictures look great, and you know, men were men and all that. But you know, wouldn't you rather just not be a man and be able to remember the last few years of your life? It's mad how they just don't seem to want to own up to the fact that they've let people down, which I think is just, I try and bring up as much as I can every time I see a head injury and anything research, and I just want to try and make sure that people are aware that, you know, that's what caused so much pain to his family in the later years of his life.
You know, that's a good point, because I know there's been a couple of guests that we would like to have on our show, and you know, they're suffering the effects of, you know, head injuries from when they were playing, and you know, we just can't, they're just not able to, you know, sit down for an interview, and it's sad, right? And it's and so it's one of those things, that part of the game that I'm glad that they've kind of are gearing towards more of, you know, being precautionary and hopefully extending.
In America it's different, isn't it? They've stopped like heading the kids and stuff. And obviously Alan Shearer did that documentary on BBC, which was good about to mention stuff. So he just needs a definitive answer to it, because as you said, I think he played as it worked out, I went on a LFC history game by game and got a list of every player he ever played with. 93, I think it was, for Liverpool. So it was like 9 who were alive today, and only 4 of them are well enough to speak. Obviously, some of them, it's not all dementia reason, but if you're in a workplace and half the people who are in the workplace have all got the same illness, you know, I know they're 80, 90 and it's an illness for old people, but for people to all have the same disease, surely it's obvious how much of a link there is, and just there needs to be more accountability for it, I think.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. When you were writing your book, did you model your writing style after anybody, or is this like you just kind of started, you know, typing away? And is there a style?
I think obviously because I never thought that being in uni you could write about football. So my writing in uni was just, it was like quite formal. Obviously it was a lot more like, you know, putting tags in and doing, you know, bibliographies and all that type of stuff, and Harvard's referencing and you know, all that. So I felt like I released the shackles a bit when I wasn't in uni anymore. Obviously I still try and do as much as I can and do it properly, but you know, it feels a lot like every time when I wrote my dissertation, I handed it in, and obviously it was like one of the drafts, and he's like, oh, you can't call it Liverpool, it's got to be Liverpool FC. So every time I mention Liverpool, it has to be Liverpool FC did this. So you can't say the Reds or whatever because you can't really refer to them. So literally every mention in the dissertation is Liverpool FC thought this. And just stuff like that, I think it maybe just make it less rigid and easier to read. And little bits about like dementia. And obviously when Billy's dad died, he just didn't want to go to the doctors and it killed him early. That's what it was. So I think, to be able to speak to the reader a bit more felt like a bit, again, releasing shackle type thing, in that I could say what I wanted to say and not feel like, does this look bad? I'm like, well, this is what I want to say. This is my first book, so this is what I think I should do, so I'll do it. And hopefully it goes well, because I try and do like little asides and the history behind what this is, history behind that. I'm just trying to speak to people more than just write facts at them. So if that's a style, that's what it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of find your way, right? Because Peter Tompkins, he's all about, stats and stuff like that, right? Where like Jeff is a storyteller and orator, and he's painting a big picture. So I mean, everybody finds their style. But now that you've completed this first book, are there thoughts about it? What your second book would be about? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, a week off would be nice first, and then
right.
No, but I think I've mentioned a couple of times the Phil Taylor. I do think that's a really interesting story that I would like to look on, because I think, as I said, it didn't start in '59, and the worst period of Liverpool was right before Shankly came. So I think there's no hope for everyone who wants to be depressed. I can maybe write that off and just say why it was so bad. But I think that's interesting. And obviously, one of the people I spoke to was Jimmy Melia. He was great to speak to. Obviously, he lives in Texas, and he was saying, he just, when I was speaking to him, he's like, why don't you write my book? I was like, look, to be honest with you, it would be a lot easier, because obviously I'm trying to find everything out about Billy Liddell. I could just speak to Jimmy Mealy and he can tell me what happened. It's a lot easier to do. And I think, obviously, just be able to have access to stuff, it's great, because obviously one of the good things about doing this book about Billy Liddell is so many people like him, which is why people like Alan Hansen and Jamie Carragher have wanted to speak to me. But with the National Football Museum, got to hold his shirt that he wore for Scotland. I was on the COP with the people who made the Liverpool banner, and I've got pictures of that. So the opportunities this has given me has been great. So to be able to do something with Jimmy Mealy would be great. And then I've always toyed with doing a podcast, and I don't want to step on your toes, but I just think football history is something that I think it sounds more formal than it is. It's just anything that happened yesterday backwards, which has got a football involved in it. So I think it's just been nice to speak to people, because one of the people I spoke to again was Alex South. I think he played 2 games for Liverpool, 90 years old. He's like as posh as the hum, but like foul-mouthed, but like so funny to speak to. I loved him. I just think there's people like that who's literally, in the nicest way possible, he's near the end of his life, and in however many years his story is just going to go. Right. I think even if you only played twice for Liverpool in 1951, your stories are amazing when you look at how different it is to what football's like today. He was saying how he used to go out and go to the dog races and drink, and Billy Liddell would be in church, and they never got on. But there were different people, but they had to share a football pitch. He's saying, football's about 11 different people playing on the same pitch. It's not like when you play footy with your mates and you're all friends and you're all different abilities. They're all good, but they might not necessarily get on. So I just like the idea of maybe looking at something, speaking to people who played years and years ago, and just say what's different and what they changed type things. So that's something I'm looking at. And then, I don't know, just see what happens, really. Hopefully just keep doing stuff.
Yeah, I've noticed, like, because, we look for guests as well on there's some ex-footballers, again, if you've put the Liverpool shirt on once, I want to know your story. And there's quite a lot that just like, well, what can I give to you? I've only played 1 match. I'm like, you've played for Liverpool. So even though you might have got transferred or something like that, obviously, you got transferred in, or, it is a story, and that's what we want on the podcast as well. It's just it doesn't matter. Like we had Roy on, Steve, and he never got to play, for the full team, but he got to play for the reserves, and again, putting on that red shirt with the Liver Bird on. If you've done that, you know, we want to hear about it. And Billy's family must have been well proud, because, you know, we've talked to Tommy Lawrence's kids as well, and it's like they want the kids of today to remember who Tommy was. They want his legacy, and I think that's great. Billy's, you know, kids, his whole family must be well proud.
Yeah, well, no, I touched on just playing hardly any games. You know, Alex South, just to him quickly, he was saying that when he signed, obviously Bob Paisley came to meet him, and he lent 20 quid off him, and now give him the 20 quid back because he put it on a horse, and the horse never won. So he said that's a story of someone who's played twice for Liverpool, but like that's a great story, isn't it? Like Keith Birkinshaw, who I spoke to, naively, I didn't realise that he'd gone on and been, you know, great manager at Tottenham and abroad. I just saw he played once for Liverpool, just sent an email out, got back to me. I was like, oh yeah, great. Obviously, I was dead happy to speak to him. And then I realised when I was just researching him right before I spoke to him, oh my God, he's had like an unbelievable career. He should only played once for Liverpool. So like, for him to take the time and speak about Billy again is testament to how good he was. But yeah, what were you saying about not playing? What was the question?
Just saying, you know,
that's what they're saying.
His family just must be well proud. You know, you're writing about their dad, you know, their brother, that you want to continue the legacy and let, you know, as well as me and Steve, you know, I know quite a bit about Billy, but I'm sure in this book, I'm going to go, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. What a story. So yeah. Again, you know, his family, that first phone call, you know, to his sister, it must have been like, you want to talk about me brother?
Yeah, well, that's what it was. See, Rena, I think, is really proud. I think that with her, I think it's more regretful because obviously, again, society at the time, it was girls playing football. You know, it wasn't as welcoming to them, and she wasn't as interested. Basically, one of her first Christmas presents was football boots, and she had 5 brothers, and 2 of them played for Liverpool. So she was in a Liverpool mad and a football mad family. But it's only like after Billy's died that she started realising how good he was. And she was saying to me, like, I was asking her questions, and she was like, I don't know, I wish I'd asked him. So bad, he was my brother. Mm-hmm. The thing I said, he was like, he was a star in the family, not a star off the family. I think this is what I said once. I don't know where I pulled it out of, but it was a good line. And I think that she kind of agreed. He never spoke about football unless he was asked. He wouldn't drive past Villa Stadium and go, I remember the hat-trick I scored. He wouldn't do anything like that. They'd have to like drag it out to them. So I think for them it was more like a missed opportunity, definitely for Rena, because obviously she's still got a season ticket, goes every week. So she's a massive Liverpool fan, and she's kind of missed out. She wants to know what he did and what his legacy is. So for that, and if I'm honest though, his sons were the only people who said something bad about him, which is mad. Which I don't want to go too much into it because I think it's something that's in the book that's just a bit. It shocked me a bit. It's only like they're brief, but it was just something that did take me back a bit. And as I said, spoke to so many people, and not one person had a hint of a bad word other than one of his sons. So I think that was something that surprised me a bit, because for them they were just like, I don't get why he's so liked. He played in the 2nd division, and I don't understand why everyone likes him so much. But I don't know whether it was a bit of there's a bit of tension between them, or it was because he was so driven as a man. I think he put a lot of pressure on them. He basically outed them in his book, saying they weren't good enough to play football, and they were reading out as kids, and obviously took the pressure to that. They went on to play basketball. One of them played for England in basketball, so they were good sportsmen. Went on to be PE teachers and stuff, so they obviously took a lot from their dad in the terms of like being driven and being educated and stuff. But I think the pressure of being Billy Liddell's son was a lot for them as well, which you can obviously understand, because imagine like Gerrard's son now, no matter what he does, even if he scores a goal in the park, it'll be on Instagram and it'll be, oh, he's the next Gerrard. No matter what he does, he's got as much pressure as they'll have had. And obviously he was Liverpool, he was the man. So it's just going to be the pressure on them. So I think they are proud, and I think they're more surprised, the kids, that people still want to talk about them. But I think his sister and sister-in-law and stuff like that, they're more like, they appreciate how good he was and not just happy as like as he's living on, which obviously that's what I hope the book does. You know, he would have been 100 in January. I think just for me, at 26 years old, being wanting to celebrate someone who was born 100 years ago, I don't think it just shows how good they were. And I hope that more, you know, obviously his story goes out to more people because of that.
Were you able to get access to photographs that aren't, you know, in the mainstream?
Obviously from existing again, but it's all around me here. I know it's going on YouTube, but I've got a big folder here or whatever. So massive loads of stuff and pictures galore. And I put a few around me, just to try to dress the room up. But like, so she's had loads of stuff, and obviously it's just. But there's one of them outside an Irish pub in town. Obviously never drunk Billy, but it's just when they had a day out. But just stuff like that, you know. I always think it's weird when you only know a footballer when they were playing in the 20s and 30s, when you see them in the 60s, and it's like going in a time machine. So I only ever know the black and white pictures of them. So when you see the pictures of them later life, it's like when you watch Back to the Future and they put all the makeup on and the second one in the future. It's mad watching it and seeing them. So it was good to, again, just feel like getting to know them better. And that's what I feel. I feel like I've got to know someone who died years ago, which feels weird, and it feels a bit like, I don't know how I'd feel if someone was researching my life that long after I died, but hopefully it's in a good way.
Yeah, it's funny because like whenever I read those books, you get the pictures of them playing, but it's the pictures of them with their family or outside doing just regular things. You know, that really kind of brings it back to where everybody's just a regular person, you know, and they happen to play football. So.
Yeah, that's it. I think even because video is so rare, and culture like that movie tone and British parfait and stuff, and I found something when he was at like a summer fair with Ken Dodd, and just all little bits like that. I think that's always the way. And hearing his voice is mad. You know, I did my dissertation on Harry Catterick and Bill Shankly. You know, you could find Bill Shankly's voice in no time, but I remember it was like months into it, I finally heard Harry Catterick talk, and that's just. You don't ever put a voice to the face or anything. So it's just like learning all different stuff about them, as you say, his private life, football, and watching them play and hearing them talk. It's just all mad things when you're just trying to get to know someone.
Yeah. So tell our viewers and our listeners how to pre-order your book and when it's coming out for publication.
Yeah, so if you get off my website, I get more money out of it. So I'll just say that first.
All right, hey.
But so that on my website, I think it's the cheapest place you can get it because obviously I get a bit of discount off it, so trying to sell it on from there. So I think obviously saying you can, all the American fans and whatever, that's probably the best place to get it because I'll be getting all the books for when they release in the 8th of November. It's the day after my birthday, so it's an easy one to remember. So I'll be getting all the books then, and I'm posting them all out. So I've already done a pre-order thing, and I've done a few little deals on them. So I'll just do a quick one. I've managed to get in touch with like the FA, Liverpool, Chelsea, Porter and stuff. Basically, they've allowed me to reproduce some of the programmes. So I've just tried to get the biggest games in his career. So the FA have let me reproduce the 1950 FA Cup final, so you can get a copy of that. I've got his testimonial, a Scotland-England game from 1948, the Scottish FA have let me do. Liverpool let me do one from the title-winning campaign, so Liverpool, Sunderland in 47. Then I've got Portsmouth in 47 and Chelsea in 47. So that's all you can get. You can do the book and one programme, or you can do like the VIP bundle, I've called it, where you can get all of them. And then his younger brother, Alistair, used to just follow him around and get autographs everywhere. So I've got like all teams in the first division, 50s, and then because he played for Great Britain, I've got all that team and the rest of the world. So there's like a reproduction of that as well. So that goes with the book, and obviously you can get it signed or whatever. But yeah, if you just go on like my Twitter, just Peter Kenny Jones, or you just go, if you Google it, I think it does actually come up on my website, and then that's the best place, I think, to get the book.
Okay, so everybody go to the website so Peter can get more money.
Yeah, that's the one. I think it's peterkj.wixsite.com/football historians. It doesn't roll off the tongue, so just go on my Twitter and click on the link. That's pretty easy.
So he paid for that air conditioning.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'll put my fan up to 3.
And you said it comes out in January.
No, it's just the 8th of November, so it's just like you can get it for the Christmas, and then his 100th birthday is the January, so obviously it's hopefully have a little bit of a bit of attraction when it comes out, and then obviously when it's his 100th birthday, because I don't know what can be done with it. Cause I've got plans to do and stuff, but obviously I've managed to find a couple of songs that were sung. So I was thinking, if we could try and get in touch with, someone who did Liverpool songs and maybe do one and help reproduce the book, and just sell them. I think it'd all be good just to add to the story. I think the programmes help and the autograph, but it all just adds to his story a bit. So I think, yeah.
You're not going to sing one?
I knew that would happen as soon as I said that. I haven't worn my vocal cords, so there's let me see what one of them is. I'm not singing it, but it's to the tune. Oh, what's it called? Yeah. Uncle Joe plays a rag on his old banjo, the classic from 1946, that we all used to sing. So that one, but just like I literally was yesterday on YouTube going through, making sure I had the tune right there, so I was singing on my own. So if you recorded me yesterday, you could have got some dodgy singing. But I'll let you do that yourself when you get the book.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, and it like we've said before, we did enjoy talking about subjects that we really don't know a lot about, and meeting new people like yourself, and hopefully this will be a start of a long-term friendship between us and you, and we wish you all the best with the book, and we'll do our best on this end to promote it as much as we can as well.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's been really nice to speak to you, and yeah, sorry if I wetted on a bit. Hope it was all right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, that's what me and Steve do.
Yeah. This is your first podcast, right?
Yeah, so I've done like little bits of radio and stuff, but never, like I said, never been making, never spoke for this long. So
yeah, we've taken quite a few people's podcast virginity on this show, so welcome to the club.
Thanks. Thanks.
We're sorry. We're sorry.
It's all right. There's always one first. Never forget your first.
That's right. Remember that.
You got to start somewhere, and then hopefully, when your book takes off, you'll be on more podcasts, because it just gets out to more people, we can only do so much, with our followers, and, your book deserves, more people buying it, reading it, learn, like we always say, Steve, learn the history of this great club.
Yep.
Don't just look back on stats and stuff from, 2000 or God forbid, 1970s. Go back further than that and read these incredible stories. By yourself, Peter. By Jeff Golding. Just by any of these authors that really take the time to talk to ex-players and their families and just bring out these brilliant boss stories is just great. I don't know if I'm going to have room for another book.
Sorry. I'll get you. You can have a half price on a bookshelf if you buy it as well. I'll do that. I'll start doing that.
I just have to buy another bookshelf.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But I think there is, if I can just say quickly, I think there is like a misconception that people I can't speak for anyone else, but basically, I don't feel like all my mates think that I'm like on mega books writing a book. You really don't get that much money out of it. It's like
right.
I think I wrote for Liverpool's programme and the magazine, and literally 2 of those articles is as much as I'm getting paid for the book.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's a million times more work, but I just think obviously it makes you look better. My long-term dream is to do work 9 to 5 in football history, something. So that's what I've done it for. So I think people seem to think that if you're an author, you're J.K. Rowling, but I can assure you I'm in a garage with no windows, sweating.
But I think you already realized that this book has already opened up a lot of networks, for you.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, that's what it's for. Once it's out, no one can ever take it away from me. That's the one thing I want to do. So hopefully, people enjoy it, and if they don't, doesn't matter. I wrote the book. So
that's right.
If you don't enjoy it, then obviously something wrong with them.
Right. Well, you haven't read it yet.
I know it's going to be a good book. Because hopefully there's only like one stat in it when he started. I can't do the stats. I'm just not a stat person. That bores me. That's what I didn't want. You could just have this game. He scored this goal. Obviously, I think
1950 and 1946-47, I have to with stats. Obviously, they're the two main things of his career. But I think from then on, I've tried to know the stories behind the stats.
Yeah, it's the stories that count for me because Grandad took me to Anfield when I was 6. So I heard all the stories from him, and I never used to listen. Because you're so young, you're just like, I'm watching the football. That's all I want. And I was about the goals and the assists back then. And now I'm like, I really wish I would have listened to me granddad's stories. He used to waffle on for hours. Basically like, Grandad, I'm not even in the room.
Well, yeah, that's what my dad's about. I'm a bit like that with my dad, because obviously he's been going since the 70s, the 60s, 70s, hasn't missed a game virtually ever. And when all my mates from uni and all that start asking him about the 70s and 80s, I was a bit like, I've never asked him this story. You just take it for granted, don't you? Oh, I know he was there, but you didn't really ask him. So, yeah, hopefully you just want the stories to live on. So hopefully this will help with him, with Billy.
Well, really do appreciate it, Peter. Like I said, go pre-order it. You'll learn a lot about Billy and some great stories, as I know me and Steve will get on it. Check the book out, pre-order it, and cheers again, Peter, for coming on.
Cheers, Peter. Thank you for coming on, buddy.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Have a good day. Enjoy the sun.